Hey everybody, Dr. Laura Dabney here, giving you practical and doable tips on how to improve your relationships with your family, your friends, and yourself. Because as we are talking in this series, we're talking about how being your best self is important for you to have good relationships. You're half the relationship. I'm at the end of a three-part series on how to fall in love with yourself this year. This is a new topic for me. I usually talk about being in a relationship with somebody else. But this is a very, very important part. Like I just said, very, very important that you are able to love yourself in order to have a good relationship. So I've mostly been talking about understanding yourself, how loving yourself means taking the time to understand and really learn about you. First video, I talked about the important and the reasons why understanding your unconscious is really important. In the second video, I talked about how understanding and accepting all of your emotions, how important that is, why. And now I want to talk to you about a little bit of a different topic, but how protecting your environment is a very key component to loving yourself. Think about your children. You wanted them to have calm, steady, predictable environment. That's what scientists recommend. Well, it's true for you too. You don't need to have the upheaval and the distractions and the screaming and any of that. So we're talking here about decreasing the drama in your life. That is taking care of you, which is a form of loving you. So to do this, we need to take a deep dive into understanding personality disorders. This has been a very popular topic in the lay press recently. So let's go. All right. Drama equates to emotional dysregulation, which we're talking generally here, equates to a personality disorder. All right. So number one in protecting your environment is finding a partner that does not have a personality disorder. All right. This is super, super important. And a lot of people miss this. It's a way to be kind and loving to yourself. It's not being mean to reject someone with a personality disorder. It's to be kind and loving to yourself. And that's very important. So how do you know? Well, I will talk about red flags. So what are the red flags? Someone who hurts themselves, attempts suicide, cuts on their wrists, gets themselves in dangerous situations, allows themselves to be mistreated. Okay? Those who can't control themselves. They act out all the time. It's a lot of screaming, yelling, taking off and doing things, not just once in a while, but persistently. They lack empathy. Someone who can't step outside themselves and see how you might be feeling, can't put themselves in your shoes, isn't going to be able to treat you well. Okay? Our empathy is what pushes us to be kind and gentle with other people. Another red flag is if the person can't take care of themselves. They can't hold a job. They're constantly in financial ruin. They don't know how to get out of problems themselves, okay? Lastly, breaking the law. Living in this society means that we have an unspoken rule that we are all going to follow the rules, an unspoken understanding that we're all going to follow the rules. Like if you play a game with somebody. But people who break the law think they're above the rules and they're not going to follow the rules with you, like having an exclusive relationship or marital contract or whatever it may be. Okay. So that's all about how to stay away from somebody who has personality disorder. Now, two, I want to talk to you about what if you're the one with the personality disorder. I do have people say it is hard for people who have personality disorders to see it, but some people do have some recognition that they're the source of the drama or the upheaval. They're the common denominator. Does that apply to you? Do you tend to be in a lot of upheaval and dramatic situations and maybe added to that or contributed to it? Do you have a lot of long-standing relationships? A lot of healthy people who do relationships have friendships and connections going back to childhood, young adulthood, their first job, okay? Able to have long-standing intimate relationships like marriage, one or two marriages. Do people routinely cut you off? It's another way of thinking about it. Do people tend to cut you off instead of talk to you? Or do you cut people off a lot as a way instead of dealing with the problem? Okay, there's a difference between healthy expressions and yelling, criticizing, threatening, attacking people. Do you tend to lean towards the latter instead of a healthy expression of your emotion? Okay, another possible symptom of you having a personality disorder is, do you play victim a lot? Do you manipulate as a way to get your way? Do you attack others as a way to change them and get your way? All right. Lastly, if you have this need or think you are in some way more special than others. If you're in a room, you need to be the top whatever, best dressed, the smartest, the est in others, okay? It compared to others. I just had someone today actually say, I like to consider myself the smartest in the room at all times. That's a clue, all right? So if any of that applies to you, you might have a personality disorder. And that's something to get a hold of or on top of, so you can take care of that and decrease the drama in your life. Lastly, it's very important to understand that there are people who cannot engage in intimacy. Personality disorder in our field means somebody who cannot engage in long-standing intimacy. That's why it's so important to understand the personality disorders. What they do is they do this, what I call the static middle. They tend to, people with personality disorders see closeness as being engulfing, losing themselves. They see distancing as being abandoned. So they see these two things in the extreme. So what do? They wiggle around in the middle. Okay? They don't ever get too close, and they don't ever get too far. Or they don't ever get close, and they don't ever get to handle distance. They stay right here. So it's so difficult to cure that we actually learned that it was incurable. And insurance companies will tell you it's incurable. And a lot of mental health providers will say it's incurable. It's not. It is something that is curable, but it takes a really, really long time. And that's with the mental health provider. I have been very fortunate to have had a few very, very brave people come in and work with me on their personality disorders. And it took them seeing me 3 to 5 times a week for 5 to 10 years. All right, that's a lot, and I'm a professional. So you aren't going to be curing someone's personality disorder anytime soon, right? Instead, you're going to get the sense that it drives you crazy, this static middle. You're going to get this vibe from the person, oh, I want to see you, I haven't seen you, let's get together, let's do something. Well, then you go, okay. Then you get together with them, and you're going to feel this being criticized, being attacked, being spit out or ignored. Going, what the heck? You wanted me to come, and now you're not engaging with me, or you're attacking me. Because that you got too close, and they spit you out. So you say, okay, I'll leave. This is not working out for either of us. And you leave, or whatever it is, you leave, and then you left. I haven't heard from you in forever. Where'd you go? What the heck? Are you mad at me? See, that's an abandonment. Then back you go. So you do this and you feel crazy. So you aren't going to be able to cure them. You're going to feel crazy. And that's not a healthy environment. That's not an environment where relationships or your emotional health can grow or flourish. What I have people say to me all the time in session is, but I love them. And my response always is, but you can fall in love with a healthy person, and that's your job. You can love someone who's healthy, unhealthy. You can have fun with someone who's healthy or unhealthy. Why pick the unhealthy one? It's going to cause misery in your life, right? Personality disorder is not a passing fancy. It's not just a thing. They just don't, it's not something they just need a little attention, a little love to cure. It's a very, very serious and persistent problem that causes a lot of upheaval and causes a lot of problems. Okay, so to love yourself is to create the best environment that you can for yourself. All right, so if you have any problems with any of that, I am here, 757-340-8800. Thanks.